Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and it's time for a positive spin. This week, we're going to be talking about The Last Airbender. Yeah, this movie is really, really hated, probably more than a lot of his other movies, which are also hated. Now, as far as my history with this, I rented this, being an M. Night Shyamalan fan. I did rent this when it first came out. I watched it, and I really enjoyed it for what it was. Now, with that being said, I had no idea what the last Avatar or the Airbender or whatever the cartoon was called. I'm not really familiar with it. But I did kind of go down a little bit of a rabbit hole on this one. Because I enjoyed the movie, I wanted to see what the cartoon was like. So, I think at the time you could watch two of the Avatar cartoons. So, I finished like one and a half of them, and I don't even know if I finished the second one. But I just kind of decided it wasn't for me. Now, I will say this, the cartoon is different, but the basic building blocks are here. So, being a comic book fan, you kind of have to take the good with the bad, I think, because they always change stuff from comic books to movies and also from cartoons to movies. They take, I can't remember even what it's called, but they tend to change a few things because they can. And I think that makes a lot of fans mad, especially diehard fans of a certain comic book or cartoon or what have you. Now, I watched this again with Joe. He had never seen this. And to be honest, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I do remember it, and it came back to me as soon as I started watching it. So, what I liked about it, the beginning story is very informative, and it kind of sets up the movie to where it's going to go. And I'm going to be saying this a lot. The scenery is very vast and beautiful. I'm not sure if that's a green screen or what exactly it is, but the landscape, the filming, it's just gorgeous. That was one of the things I noticed right off the bat. They don't beat you over the head with the story. What I guess I'm trying to say is they don't dumb it down. Maybe they should have, but they didn't. So you're kind of learning little bits and pieces along the way. And once again, I was not familiar with the cartoon, so that's pretty much all I had to go on. Because I did watch a couple of the cartoons later on, or one and a half. The costumes are really cool. Most of the characters are fairly likable. I didn't think the acting was bad. The only movie that I really had a problem with the acting that he's done is probably The Happening. And it was from Mark Wahlberg, who actually hates that film, but maybe that's why, because he wasn't very good in it. I don't know. But I thought most of the acting was pretty cool, and it told a really good story. Now the dynamic of the prince and his father is an interesting part in the film. Like I'm not going to give a synopsis, but suffice it to say that the prince was supposed to prove himself, and he failed. So he took one of the warships because they were the firebenders, and he took one of the warships, and he wants to bring in the last Avatar, basically to restore his honor. I like the dynamic of him and his father. The landscapes are spectacular. I mean, it's just a gorgeously made movie. And there are also a lot of messages in here. And I thought that was pretty cool too for this type of film. Because once again, it is modeled after a cartoon. And when you model movies after cartoons or popular comic books, you tend to put the messages in there that are in the cartoon or the comic book. At least most of the time they do. I don't know enough about the Avatar cartoon to know if a lot of the messages were from that cartoon, but it is what it is. Now, I will say this. This is not generally my type of film. I do like movies like Star Wars. I do like The Lord of the Rings, and this kind of fits in between. It's kind of like a science fiction meets um, sword and sorcery, kind of. I guess that's the best way to describe it. But generally speaking, I tend to gravitate towards horror, which is why I saw this because of its director, M. Night Shyamalan. And my thought is this is a big time picture. Not that Signs and The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable were not big time pictures, they were. But this is a different kind of big time picture. And I think he kind of it felt like to me, he put everything into this film. And as we know, it pretty much failed miserably because there was supposed to be a sequel and we never got one. So, once again, toxic fandom. Would I have liked to have seen a sequel? Sure. I think there was more story to tell. I think it would have been pretty interesting, especially the way they left it. But all in all, I like this film for what it is. It's not something I watch very often. As a matter of fact, I think I've seen it twice. The first time I watched it and with Joe the other night. And that's probably, I may watch it once or twice more in my lifetime. Who knows? But either way, I thought it was a fairly good film. So, what do you think about The Last Airbender? Please try to be nice. I know it's not everyone's favorite, and I know a lot of people think this is one of the worst movies ever made. I disagree, but that's why we start conversation. And remember, guys, physical media matters. And until next time, peace.